Okay, we're going to go over an intro to pointers. A pointer, in its simplistic form, is simply a variable that can only contain an address. So let's break that down. A variable. We already know what a variable is. Everything you already know about variables applies now to pointers. We declare them pretty much the same. They hold a value of sorts. So now the only thing that makes a pointer different from a regular variable is that it can only contain an address. And we talked about memory addresses before. Remember, every variable that you create has a memory address, a location that it's in memory. The scanf wants an address. So none of that's different. So when you think of a pointer, I really want you to think of it this way. It is simply a variable that can only contain an address. Now we already know how to create a variable. Notice here I have two variables. One, an integer called num, and the other, one that's called numPointer. So does that make numPointer an actual pointer? No. It looks just like this, except it's got a different name. The only way to make it a pointer is to tell it by putting an asterisk right here. By putting an asterisk here, we're basically telling the computer, hey, I have a pointer variable, or a variable that is only going to contain an address. Now that we've declared a variable, let's go ahead and assign a value to it. We already know how to assign a value to a variable. In this example, I have assigned the number 26 to num. And don't forget, it always goes in this direction. So we're taking a 26 and putting it into num. The other one is our numPointer. Now, because a pointer can only contain an address, you will notice that I am actually using the address operator. So this means the address of num. So wherever num is in memory, it's got an address. Whatever its address is, gets assigned to our numPointer. So let's see what this looks like in memory. If we go back to our num equals 26, if we assign these variable spots in memory, we can assume num will go here, and our numPointer goes right here. These are our two variables. We're assigning 26 to num, therefore we can put the number 26 in num. And because we're assigning the address of num being A1, we can assign the address of num to our numPointer. So therefore, we're going to put in an A1. If we try to print the values of these particular variables, then we will notice that a printf here, this printf here, will print whatever is in num. So if we go take a look at what's in num, what do we see but a 26? So the output for this would be what? A 26. If we take that same logic as for numPointer, we go over to see what's inside of numPointer. We see an A1. So we would expect to see an A1. I know this is simple terms, but you can kind of see that these are the two variables and these are what they're holding. We take a look at this one here. We see we're using the asterisk. We only use the asterisk in two different places. We used it up here, and the only reason we use it up here is to let the computer know that this particular variable is not a regular variable, but rather will hold an address. This is a pointer. So because it's going to hold an address, I want you to think of it as meaning go to, because it's going to tell us where we're going to go. So if we look at numPointer, numPointer has an A1 in it. So if we say go to A1, what do we see? A 26. So this will print a 26. Now this is just a very simplistic view, and we will be doing a lot more with pointers. This is just to kind of get you to understand how things operate.